Hey, everybody. Welcome back. This is episode 8. And I'm going to talk about something that's been on my heart for a while. And it's called free will. We're going to talk about this. I'm going to talk about this podcast. And I hope that this will bring some light and some comfort and some peace. That's what music and spirituality is about. I want to talk about different things on this podcast. And so today, this is what I'm speaking about. Free will. And what does free will do for the human soul, the heart? What does it do for us? I want to share something that was pretty profound for me recently, listening to one of my favorite podcasts. And the guy that does it had a guest on, and she was talking about the other side. And I want to talk about this. I hope you guys are open to this. I'm asking that you'd be open and consider it. Some things are kind of hard for us to wrap our heads around because we don't have memories of certain things. And so I was raised with a Christian background and believing that the Bible was definitely the Word of God and, just all of it being true and stuff like that. There's many religions on the planet. I'm not getting into that today, but I want to share from my experience and my background what I feel is to be true and right for me. And this is something you can assess on your own and decide what resonates with you. I really want to make a point to say this to everybody listening to this cast, is that we are here to figure out what's best for us on this planet while we're here and what resonates with our soul. Now, I do believe that we are divinely guided and divinely connected to God. My belief system has shifted because of some recent things I have found out. And in that research and digging, some of this, I don't believe in coincidences, but a lot of it came across my path just because I believe it was something I needed to hear and see. And to me, when we're open to what the divine's doing, we start to question the way we were raised, the way we were brought up, the way we were taught. And even in society, there are things that we are taught to believe or to see. I'm not a fan of just being spoon-fed. We have to ask questions. In a lot of spiritual settings, when we start asking questions, it bothers a lot of people. It will bother pastors. It will bother people. And my question has always been like, why would it bother you if people are asking genuine questions of what's true and what's not? Because truth is going to prevail regardless of what the situation and circumstances are. It's going to prevail. In the song that I wrote called Blue Vast Road, I mentioned this. I said, it must take a disaster for truth to reign. And it does. It takes something insane and crazy and even hitting rock bottom for truth to reign. Are we being awakened by the divine today in a way we've never been awakened before? I think we are. I've heard a lot of people say we're in the age of Aquarius, and the whole idea of Aquarius is humanity and helping others. We're in a day and time where people don't want to hear negativity. They want to be encouraged. You can choose to live in a low vibration state, or you could choose to raise your frequency and live at a higher place, which is healthier for us as human beings. Again, human beings being that we are partaking in this earth, in this planet to grow, to learn. But we are spiritual beings having a physical experience on earth to learn what it is to be here and how to help and how to be different. The only way we can have peace is to raise our vibration, is to have that positive thinking thoughts that are good and that are right for you. Now, being raised with Christianity beliefs, the one thing we were told is that we had free will. God gives everybody free will. I'm like, that's great, right? But then there's this whole idea that if you don't accept Christ as your savior, you're going to HE double hockey sticks. And I'm thinking, I don't want to go there. And that's not a good place. If it exists, just saying. But if I truly have free will by a God that possibly created me, I would think that true free will would say, yes, Angie, you can go down that path and you'll be fine. But we have a lot of things coming against us. The way we are raised, our society that tells us something. Do we go against the grain? Or do we stay in that box and stay in that space and not grow and not ask questions and not find out and don't rattle things. It seems that people that rattle things get the most attention. I want to step outside the box. I want to become what's best for me, and I'm sharing this with you guys. So what does free will look like to you? No matter how you were raised, no matter what you were taught, what's resonating with your soul, what is Spirit saying about you, and what does that look like? And to me, if somebody says you have free will to choose your path, whether that's the job I choose, the partner I marry, whoever. Now, I'm going to go back to this podcast real quick. In this podcast that I watched, this lady had said, on the other side, whether that's spirit beings, guides, whoever is guiding us in this life while we're here, she said, free will is highly respected by supernatural beings. And when I heard that, I was like, wow, that's incredible. So if God and angels and spirit guides highly respect our free will, whether we're here or there, to me, that says a lot if the divine respects my free will. I believe we're guided by the divine and guided to say and do certain things, but I also believe that they don't mess with free will. They don't try to mess with that. And then I thought, there's a lot of people on this planet that have the audacity to control that with other people. I have free will to choose whatever path I take in this life and what I do with it. And the reason why I wanted to bring this up is because I do believe in many cases, a lot of manipulation takes place, whether it's parents manipulating, trying to get their kids to choose a certain college or choose a certain life or choose anything and putting pressure on their child to do certain things because they want to see their kids do that for whatever reason it is. It's still not okay. We have free will. We're not harming anybody. I can go to whatever college I want. I can believe whatever I want. My spiritual beliefs are my business and not for you to dictate what I should and should not believe. Resonating with my soul again, if I am, and the if isn't a doubt, if I am made in the image of God, in the likeness of God, then I'm going to be divinely guided what's best for me at the highest level of what's best for me. I am the only one that walks in these shoes. I am the only one. No one can fit in the Angie shoes. No one can fit in your shoes. So I ask you guys to ask yourself the question, are you living and doing your authentic self and what's best for you? Or are you settling for the status quo or settling just because your parents said it or you've been taught this particular way? And even if you're in a difficult marriage, which I was in, and I freed myself because that was for my highest good. I understand it can be scary to start over, but I would rather have my peace and freedom than to stay someplace where I'm bound and depressed. If you're in those situations and you have friends and family that are trying to talk you into making that relationship work, that's not serving you at your best. That's not living authentic. You can wear a mask and tell everybody everything's okay and make it look like you're doing awesome in that relationship. And many other relationships, platonic and family. And in some cases, we have to cut off people. Sometimes you have to set boundaries with your family, with certain people, to live your authentic, true self. And that's where free will steps in, because I have the right to live my true, authentic self. I'm not harming anybody. I'm living my true, free self. I ran into someone in the grocery store a while back, and they had said to me, "You look the most happiest. I don't think I've ever seen you look this happy." And I said, I am the most happiest because I have set those boundaries. I have did what's best for me. My children see it. My friends see it. People see it. But what is it going to take for you to live your true, authentic self? It might take cutting off people. It might take standing up for yourself. And if you've done that and it brings peace to you, that's great. Also, my last podcast, I talked about meditation, because meditation is another way to bring that light and that peace that you so desire, that you so deserve, that we all deserve, to live and be as happy as we possibly can. This life is too short to not have that. Life is too short to not really live what's best for you. Again, we're not harming anybody by living our true, authentic self. People will try to tell you, oh, well, you can't do that because society doesn't agree with it. No. If you are being guided by the divine on something that is best for you, you got to trust that intuition, which I talk about all the time, and go with it. It could be a job. You could be guided to marry somebody, and the rest of your family members could be like, I don't get it. I don't understand it. Why are you marrying this person? Well, it's not for them to understand it. If that relationship is best for you, go for it. If it's time to get out of it, get out of it. We live this life to learn lessons, to be here, to be a blessing to people, to show up for ourselves first so we can be healthy for others. If I don't show up for myself well, I can't be healthy for my kids or anyone else that comes into my life, the rest of my friends and family, and even a romantic partner. I can't be good for them if I don't show up for myself first. We've been taught so wrong. We've been taught, well, we got to give, we got to do this, we got to step out. We do have to give. We do have to help people, but not at the expense of me not being good for myself. If I'm not showing up for myself, I'm not helping anybody. I hope that this can help a lot of people that listen to this today, that if you know that you're in a situation that isn't for your highest good, and I'm going to use another analogy. Pleasing people doesn't help anyone. Living your true self helps you and helps other people. Guilt tripping someone to stay, guilt tripping is the worst thing you can do to another person. People have the choice to have free will. If your partner's walking out, begging them to stay isn't going to change anything. It's not going to make it better. They have free will. They need to be able to do what's best for them. It's sad that people don't see this. But of course, we have to be healthy enough to walk away. We do. To those situations that do no longer serve our good. And I'm at that place in my life like, no, it's a no for me. I will no longer allow anyone in my energy, in my life, that isn't for my highest good to be in my life. I don't care. And I think it's commendable for people that have cut off family members for their good. You have to. If we want to be healthy, we have to allow the people in that are for our highest good. And I tell my kids this all the time. Choose people that really have your back. Look at your friends. Look at the situation. If it's not good for you, then they're not going to be your friend. It's not worth it. It's not worth your sanity. It's not worth your peace. We want to lead peaceful, healthy lives so we can be good for the people that we're around. We're going to encounter people as long as we live on this planet. So how do you want to be a difference? How do you want to interact? because we do want to do it in a peaceful manner. At least I do. I can't speak for everybody else. But I want to live in a way that helps people, that brings light and love to people. I want to be that person that people like to be around. I want my energy to be that way. I'm always going to see the glass half full. I'm always going to see it that way. And I'm always going to encourage people that they can do this. We can do this. We can live lives that are healthy, that are good for us. Listen to your intuition. Listen to that nudge from God. Now, I'm not going to get too much into my belief system and how it's changed. It's adapt in many ways. There's a lot of things I believe differently now. But it's for my good. I'm not harming anybody in how I feel and believe and what I'm being guided to believe. I will say, reevaluate your religious beliefs if you have them. Ask God to show you what it is that you really need to know and what's for your good. I do believe a lot of the stuff that Christ talked about. I do. I see things a little bit differently, but he was all about telling people how to be kind and good. And you don't need religion to do that, to be honest. You can be kind without having any religious beliefs. You can. I want to say also too, I know some people may not believe in a lot of spiritual things. There are a lot to consider, and that's okay. But I will say this, ask the right questions, do the digging, do the research. But I definitely want to encourage people not to ignore your intuition, even if it doesn't make sense to you. See, ego is good for some things, but too much ego is not. We already know that pride and ego don't really help the human spirit. It doesn't. It does to some degree, but if you have too much of it, you will miss out on beautiful, amazing things in your life. We have to have a balance of spirituality and submitting to what spirit is saying and not being too much in our pride and ego. Because numerous times and countless times I've heard people talk about being in their ego and how it has actually been detrimental to their situation. And it is. I also want to say again, given one of those analogies, if you got the nudge not to get on the airplane, even after you purchased the ticket, don't get on the plane. Because if that plane crashes, you know what I'm saying? Again, with water that flows in the river, if it's stagnant, you don't want to drink it. You got to boil it first. But stagnant water is unhealthy. Staying in situations that don't help you are unhealthy. If it's stagnant, you're not growing. We're here to grow. We're here to learn. I have one short story as I end this cast. This summer I was going swimming with some family members, and I was going with my daughter and my nephews and their dad. And at the river, we got there, we parked, and we looked in, and he was showing us like, okay, so Ange, check it out. He's like, we got to enter in right here. And I'm like, why can't we just enter in right here and swim up? Because the current's too strong. We won't make it. So we had to walk up the river about a quarter of a mile or something like that, and then get into the water. And the current carried us to the spot that we wanted to go to. So we couldn't really take belongings. We had to literally just, going on our own. And so there was a little beachy area. But the reason why I'm sharing this story with you is because you can't swim against the current. You got to enter in where the current will cause you to flow. And that's the way our lives should be lived. We should go with the flow. You can't swim against the current. But life is much easier when you go with the flow. I'm going to end it right there, guys. Stay sweet and amazing, because I know that you guys are. Remember that you are loved, you're valued, and to stay safe. And remember, choose love over fear. Again, I'm going to have links to stuff in the show notes of any of my music and also my social media. Peace out, guys. Stay safe. what would you say?